I'm exhausted. TLDR, the hard stratagem button needs to be changed to absolute or something else should change. Okay, I'm a very solid absolute player. No solo absolute level, but solid absolute in a team. I'm even able to carry some people through absolute. Some. The whole week I'm wasting my quality and lifetime trying to accomplish the weekly. So this was a bit ago, and yes, there is a twist to this post. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure what weekly they are referring to, but since it was a little bit ago, I think we can assume it was a chaos weekly. And it's impossible for me. For example, today I joined two guys, 12 Prestige 1, level 9 Prestige 0, and it is not just low-level players. Even 25 Prestige 4 don't seem to understand the map and the rules this week. I mean, yeah, when it comes to players understanding the rules of certain stratagems, yeah, I'm not too sure that is, level relevant. But yeah, when it comes to players who are ready for hard stratagems, if they're under-leveled, they are not ready, for the most part. I've ran into a very rare amount of players who are able to perform in hard stratagems under-leveled. It's basically like for every 1 out of 10, something like that. From the perspective of a man who has limited free time, this should not happen. Even alone, the amount of loading screens cost me too much time if I would leave the team every time. I love this game. With joy, I bought the season passes and recommended it to my friends. I invested a lot of time with pleasure, but since the stratagems, I love the idea and the mode, I'm exhausted because now it doesn't depend on me if I get a fair challenge. Right now, I'm wasting precious time and my quality of life goes down because I don't even enjoy the time. All right, so I just got a glance at the stratagem they're talking about. They were talking about exfiltration with great responsibility. Yeah, this is definitely a fair weekly to crash out on. 100%, I am with you. Now, obviously, this player is in a rough spot. So they reached out to the community, asked for some advice. I feel like some people mentioned, yeah, just jump into great responsibility solo, and they were actually nice enough to provide an update to this post. I am exhausted update. Prefix, I just write this because I felt genuine compassion from a lot of you. TLDR just tried the new hard weekly, and I had a blast. Everything I wrote in my previous post, I felt and meant. And your compassion helped me so much. Of course, my emotional state was not just born through the game. I came from a very tough time, and you helped me. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. And now, let's come to my experience from just 30 minutes ago. First try hard gem this week. First try hard gem. Not too sure what they mean by gem here. Yeah, I had to go back on the horse, and I had a blast. I was accompanied by a great tactical and a great heavy while playing Bulwark myself. It was amazing. We were a team. No one was left behind. We all got downed here and there, but everyone kept their cool and we made it through. Thank you guys. And then I got the confirmation of what I felt before. Why am I playing this game and what I am searching for with this game? Camaraderie. And that is why last week was so exhausting to me, because it was the first week in this game I haven't felt it. Till the day before yesterday, I didn't know it was important to me in this game. Till today, I didn't know why I played the way I do. I want this community to be a camaraderie, and I will always do my part. See you on the battlefield, brothers. Okay, so this is cool. This is very cool. Obviously, there are some parts about this post that can be a little bit darker. I mean, obviously, they said they were having a rough time off game, and playing this game, they were basically accompanied by some great players that helped them through these weeklies. So I just want to, there's a couple factors here, obviously. So because they already made a post about them being burnt out, exhausted a little bit because of hard weeklies, very understandable. We've all been there. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of a tweak to the build to take advantage of certain conditions. Now it sounds like they jumped into the weekly not solo. So that's pretty interesting. So not only were they able to find great advice from just, reaching out to the community, that is great, but they were also able to find players in game that helped them get through it, which is great. And not to mention, they didn't run away from the challenge. This is one of the most important things, I think, that is going to allow you to get more time from Space Marine 2. Basically, just making sure you find an appropriate challenge. It can't be too easy, it can't be too difficult, but it has to be something that interests you. And it seems like this player definitely was further interested in the game just simply by communicating and, you know, staying on the horse, as they said. Oh no, they said I had to get back on the horse. Yeah, so they just didn't give up. They were in a pretty tough position and still were able to thrive just because they didn't give up. And yeah, now we have a player here who is more interested in the game from a point where they were about to drop it, which is pretty interesting. So yeah, I think challenge goes a far way, and being able to, you know, communicate with the community is also going to be great for you to learn things. So I wanted to highlight these two posts because the next post is going to say a lot more than what these posts say as far as what keeps us in Space Marine 2. I just think this post was very cool though, and it is a great example of what keeps players in the game. Sometimes it just takes some good teammates and a rightful challenge. Making sure you're not getting bored because the game's too easy is definitely, you know, gonna allow you to continue enjoying the game, obviously, but also making sure that you aren't afraid to try to tackle challenges that you failed before, because it feels so good to go back into that challenge. Even if you're just a little bit better, it can make a lot of difference. If you have 1,000 hours in Space Marine 2, what keeps you playing? Would like to hear from the super experienced players why they feel the game is worth it to keep playing long after the novelty is gone. Not too sure what the novelty would be. What keeps it fun for you? Alright, so when it comes to Space Marine 2, I think what keeps it fun for a lot of players is definitely a appropriate approach to challenge and the community. For me, the atmosphere also does a lot. Like, to be honest, after, like, you know, recording a video and taking screenshots, sometimes I just sit there in the scene that I am in, like whatever level I picked for screenshots or whatever. And sometimes I just sit there and enjoy the atmosphere a bit. I just enjoy how I look. I enjoy kind of like the scenery and everything. The game has a lot going for it. Not to mention, it's not like every mission we go on, it looks the same. You know, I think that's a huge part of why certain operations feel so fresh to jump into, depending on if you're like a new class, trying out a new thing or whatever. But yeah, I think it goes a far way to see different areas and different scenery, because like nowadays, I don't know what's going on. I mean, it's not like every game, but there's a lot of games where it feels like you're looking at the same stuff the entire time. So for me, it's like we have Vortex, we have Inferno, we have Decapitation, we have Fall of Atreus. We have these missions that feel so unique, and then we're also going to get a space station mission, so it's even going to feel even more unique. Now, another reason why I think a lot of people get a lot of time with this game is because of the combat. The combat's really good. I play other games. I play other games as well throughout the years, and this game's combat still feels the best to me. And not to mention, this game's combat can feel fresh when you start trying out newer things, like when you start trying out blocking or a different class or a different weapon. You can seriously find time just completely evaporated because you're sitting there trying to block. You're sitting there trying to learn blocking and everything. So it's like, oh wow, this is like a different game. I need to jump on, you know, average, start learning block, and then I'll jump on ruthless to see how good it can be. And then once I get, you know, to relic or something, you go into lethal absolute. And then, yeah, and then you're sitting there trying to do a challenge with blocking that you haven't even considered with fencing or something like that. Yeah, you can just find new areas of the game and different approaches. That definitely is going to give you a lot of time in this game. Now, for me, like, when it comes to, like, most of my time in this game, I think most of it's on console. Or, no, actually, most of it's on PC, obviously. But I do have 300 hours on console as well, so it's pretty interesting. I've always played this game when it comes to just, like, sitting down. And, you know, like, sometimes I just want to jump into a mission and, you know, just experience some vast battles. That's pretty much, in my opinion, what this game delivers when it comes to combat that no other game can deliver right now. I mean, Battlefield is okay. Battlefield's fine, but still, I gotta admit, when it comes to Battlefield, like Battlefield 6, I just like playing the classes that we have. I think I'm more attached to the personalities we have with the classes in this game than Battlefield. In Battlefield, there's not really any characters, you know? It is definitely a giant battle, and it is fun. It is a fun game. But you can't really parry anybody. You can't do a chainsaw execution, you know what I mean? So there's definitely some parts of Battlefield that I enjoy, but for me, what really puts me over 1,000 hours for Space Marine 2 is definitely the different approaches to combat, the personality of the classes, the, you know, how you look, the atmosphere. There's a lot to this game that delivers that other games just can't deliver nowadays. And I played like pretty much every game that's going to be nominated for Game of the Year, so for this year, which was a great year of games, and I'm still here playing Space Marine 2, and it's so much fun. I mean, off recording. Like, I will casually play this game on console when I'm done recording my videos for the day. So it's kind of weird. Sometimes I think about it like, oh, I'm just going back to work, but I'm just like sitting there at the office just hanging out. It's kind of funny. But yeah, regardless, yeah, when it comes to getting 1,000 hours in this game, it's definitely a lot easier than you think. However, if you're looking to continue playing this game and you feel like you're getting a little bit exhausted, just keep in mind the 2 posts we just saw. There was another player just like that. There's another player just like that who felt exhausted, and they reached out to the community and they didn't give up. And they found themselves getting better at the game, and now it feels like, at least to them, or at least how I, basically how I took that post, it feels like for them, the game has reinvigorated itself in a sense, where now they are looking at it through different lenses. At first, they were frustrated. They were very frustrated, and all it took for them was a little bit of communication with the community and to find good teammates, and now they were able to beat operations. They were able to beat stratagems that they weren't able to beat before, and all it took was just a little bit of persistence and a little bit of help from the community, and not to mention, just having the guts, I guess, to make that post to begin with. So the fact that we are in a community that can take a post like that and turn it into something positive, I honestly think that's also a huge factor in why people can get a lot of time from this game. Simply put, is because the community is great. I remember being the last brother standing in Fall the Trash stratagem mission, and we were on the last stage. Both squad members were stuck, and I had to down few extremists and heretic snipers. Luckily, I ran heroic heavy plasma, but we had no vanguard or bulwark for heals. Unfortunate. On Fall of Atreus also. That's grindy. The 2 brothers sent encouraging words like, "You got this, brother," and "Kill him," adds more pressure on my end, and yet it motivates me. We eventually won, shook hands, and done for the day. This is why I love this game. Yeah, honestly, the last brother standing, the last man standing mechanic, I think is very interesting. I'm not too sure if there's other games that put that sort of pressure on you to, definitely perform for your team. I think it's a great mechanic to feel good at the end of the day, for sure. It's definitely one of those mechanics where it's like, if you are able to push through this point, you have proven yourself to be a better player than where you were before this mission. That's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. I think it's pretty cool, though. I definitely think more games should, put that sort of pressure on you, I guess. But at the same time, I think this game is, special for that. I don't think you could jump into Fortnite, and if your other teammates are dead, I don't think the game would be like, dude, you're the last one left. I think the 13-year-olds who are playing Fortnite still are probably like, what? Like, wow, well, thanks for the pressure. We're not Fortnite here, guys. We are not Fortnite here. Dude, honestly, when it comes to Fortnite, I don't want to make anyone feel bad for liking that game. I also played Fortnite before, but it's been a long time since the game came out. Like, eventually, if you're old enough, you're gonna realize that Fortnite gets a little bit old, right? So yeah, I mean, even if you just talk about battle royales in general, I think battle royales and like certain types of team deathmatch PvP games and stuff like that, I think potentially that can be a little bit dated, but I'm not too sure if being dated is as much of a a pinpoint criticism that can kill games. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of, I guess a little bit of charm, a little bit of passion. You don't really need to have like the most new feeling game in the world. Like, honestly, Space Marine 2 was compared to Xbox 360 games before. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, in a sense, sure, this definitely reminds me of some games I played in the past that can feel that way, but they didn't have parrying, they didn't have the universe, they didn't have the, you know, the armor, the personalities, even the weapons. It feels like Space Marine 2 was the natural step forward for action games. Whereas like battle royales and stuff kind of feel like they're kind of stuck in their moment, and you seriously can't even adjust battle royale games or team deathmatch games from these popular companies without like a whole bunch of fans like freaking out. So I think right now, with what we have a great community, we have a great base game. We're going to see Space Marine 3 also take a step up, so the fact that we also have something to look forward to is huge as well. But yeah, I mean, I can't believe I just went on that tangent talking about Fortnite because this guy was in last man standing, but it is a pretty interesting perspective. I mean, I do think about this stuff a lot, to be honest. One good game destroys the bad taste of 20 bad runs. Completed the weekly last night with a worthy brother of Volcon. I was the last brother standing as I had to fight the Hellbrute on my own as the kill team's heavy. Hearts pounding as I parried, gun striked, and dodged everything as I locked in. Scrapping a victory in the duel with a sliver of health as the words of my down brother encourage me. Wait, okay, hold on. Who are these down brothers and how are they encouraging people so often? Because I feel like they're getting on mic and like cheering them on or something. That's pretty interesting. I've never seen that. But okay, so I will admit the way you lock in this game does feel good. Like sometimes for me personally, I'll jump into a game, I'm a little bit too relaxed and, you know, maybe a mistake will happen and my health bar will just drain. That is what gets me locked in. What gets me locked in is frustration sometimes, but what keeps me locked in is focus. So yeah, like basically getting mad motivates me to lock in, but what keeps me locked in is keeping the eye on the prize, essentially. Because you can't, if you get tilted, I mean, this works for me. Doesn't actually, this is definitely something that pertains to me. I want to say it works, but yeah, I mean, I used to play competitive Overwatch. I think I peaked out at Master. I was a Diva main. I played a lot of that game, but then I started to realize it was tilting me. That game specifically, I mean, any sort of MOBAs where like one bad teammate can just ruin your time, and you can't carry them out of that it just feels so bad. It just feels so bad. So that's when I started to learn how to adjust myself to compensate for tilt. And in this game, getting tilted isn't as detrimental. In other games, if you're tilted within like the first 3 minutes, you're not going to play well. You just aren't. And in this game, if you're tilted and you're just sitting there trying to force stuff, you will get punished for it. But what I love about this game is if you're frustrated, sometimes you just can't. If you're frustrated, just don't give up, because eventually you are going to see an opening that you want to attack. Like, for example, like a parry or something. Like if you're frustrated, but you notice that the Terminator is throwing a blue attack your way, like I just have a hard time believing players are just gonna give up. You know what I mean? I feel like no matter how frustrated you are, if you see that blue Q, you're hitting that parry. And as soon as you hit that parry, then you start to, you know, get locked in, essentially. So that's how it works for me personally. I like talking about locked in, like getting locked in, because I feel like everyone has their own different elements that keep them locked in. But for me personally, sometimes I just need something to smack me out of my like relaxed state, and a lot of times it's Chaos Spawn. Then on the next Hellbrute, he redeemed himself as the last brother standing to solo the second Hellbrute. Dude, okay, so back and forth last brother standing. I like to see that. They kind of, you know, did the favor for each other. On the battery train stretch, a gauntlet handshake to celebrate the victory as we gathered ourselves for the final push for the win. Destroyed the bitter taste of 20 other games with unworthy brothers who would blame everyone but themselves for their own bad plays. Dude, wow, okay, some more game theory here, by the way. Some real gamer theory, not like, yeah, you know what I mean. We're all on YouTube, we all understand where game theory comes from. Destroyed the bitter taste of 20 other games with unworthy brothers who would blame everyone but themselves. If you are in this position where, for whatever reason, all of the 20 games you played, you blamed everyone but yourself, That is what keeps you from getting better. This is the attitude that will burn you out 100%, because you're not going to find any ways to get better. You're not going to find any ways to improve your situation if it's everyone else's problem but your own. So, like, if you continuously blame other people for your mistakes, they're not going to turn around and fix themselves somehow, because it's not reality. It is not reality. It's less about blaming other people and more about the team. You know what I mean? Like, what did you do for the team that put you in a position to criticize the other players? Personally, for me, I don't find that type of criticism ever to work in video games. The only thing you can do, like at least in this game, is point out the facts, and that's it. Now, this doesn't work for other games that I mentioned before, like MOBAs and stuff, because sometimes it's just that chaotic or there's factors that you aren't aware of. But with this game, you can definitely keep track of certain things. If you notice your teammates aren't healing their mortal wounds and they're picking up stims and dying with them, that's different. That is different than blaming your teammates for the loss in general. Like, they could be playing as well as they can, and just because you catch the L, it doesn't mean they were doing something wrong. It just means as a team, you guys weren't able to, deliver. It's one thing if they don't know what they're doing. That's why I said it's important to talk about the facts. If you actually have helpful advice, that will go a far way. But if you're just going to use that advice to try to gain leverage, so when you criticize this person, you can feel better about yourself, nothing's gonna change. Nothing will change from that. You yourself either need to get better at communicating, or you need to just get better at the game so you can carry these players. However, the kicker with this is you're not going to be able to get better at the game because you're too busy blaming other people for your mistakes. So you don't understand your mistakes, so you're not going to improve. That is the gist. That's pretty much how I look at it. And that's exactly the type of stuff that I gathered from gaming for years. So it's less about just this game, and I really like the way some of these elements, some of these social elements kind of play within this game, because this game already delivers those elements in a way that builds up the community, not tears it down or compares itself to each other. It's about the team, you know what I mean? So for some reason, sometimes I feel like with MOBAs, it's all about like pick me energy. It's all about main character energy. Guys, I carried us, yada, yada, yada. But in this game, if you carry your team, it doesn't feel that satisfying. It feels good just so, you get the victory. It feels good that way. But still, it feels a lot better when everyone's on the same page and you're bouncing off of each other. And there's a lot of moments for that. But yeah, I will admit, one good game destroys the bad taste of 20 bad runs, I think is very accurate. And I think that's also a huge factor when it comes to getting to 1,000 hours in this game. I mean, it's very little about the 1,000 hours and more about what keeps people in the game in general. So, I mean, we have talked about it before. We've talked about in the past people leaving the game because of hard stratagems and everything. But now we're in the point where the people who are enjoying the game but want to get better at hard stratagems, they're at a wall right now. So if you notice somebody struggling in hard stratagems but they're ready for it, like they have like level 22 prestige 3, level 25 prestige 4 would be recommended, but the closer you can get to that, the better, obviously. Yeah, if you notice people struggling with hard stratagems, try to just say a fact, just try to mention, hey, zoanthropes obviously cannot, okay, don't say obviously. Zoanthropes cannot get hit by meltas. Like, if you see a neurothrope, try to, line it up when they're on the ground and stuff. Like, try to have advice that is applicable to people, not just, hey, man, you're bad at the game, you need to get better. Like, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. That's only going to cause friction within the team, and honestly, players are going to play even more selfishly through that. So, yeah. You see what I mean? This game just delivers on so much of the community aspects, not only from a lore standpoint and a Warhammer standpoint, but from the way we interact with each other within a team and the way the game is built for us to actually improve each other's gameplays. I mean, yeah, I just recently was playing Bulwark, and I was playing with a very aggressive assault player. And whenever they would coincidentally slam, I was also coincidentally dropping my banner, because we were both aiming for the same areas. So we were able we were able to line up each other's gameplay without even communicating. But we were just, we were focused. We kept our eyes on the priority target. So I would jump into a mob, I would drop banner, and he would slam at the same time, effectively healing himself. But also, I'm curious to see if you get extra damage if you slam within a banner that is giving you extra damage. I mean, purity of purpose alone is going to be interesting for a slam. Okay, regardless, now I'm getting distracted. This was a 9-minute segment about this comment here, so there's a lot to talk about there. But yeah, I think I said everything I needed to say. I think I've seen a lot of the comments, but the original post to this video was great. I really like to see that sort of transition going from I'm exhausted, I don't think I can beat this, to wow, you guys helped me out and I beat this and I'm even better for it now. So he went from not only having let's just say this for the conversation, he went from not having the skill for it to having the skill for it through communication. He didn't even need to sit there and like practice mechanics over and over again. He just didn't give up. He just didn't give up. He eventually found good teammates, and this is the important part. He took the advice that was good, and he didn't make it feel like it was any. It didn't. He didn't make the advice make him feel like he's worse off for it. He knew he needed to improve, so that's what gave him the ability to look for advice and actually apply it. If you think you don't need to improve, you're never going to find the advice that will allow you to improve, because yeah, you're perfect already, man. Nobody can tell you anything, you know what I mean? But okay, that's all I got to say about this game. I haven't ran into any toxicity or anything, to be honest. So it's kind of upsetting when I see players like, talking about, oh man, I can't beat this hard stratagem because I keep jumping in games with lower level players and everything. It's like, dude, that is a factor for sure, but don't let that tell you the entire story of the game, because I hope the devs will adjust that. But still, it is much better to just, one good game destroys the bad taste of 20 bad runs. It's much better to just, hold on to that thought, because it's very true. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this. I just kind of wanted to talk about it. Honestly, those two posts, the exhausted post, kind of spurred me on to make this post to make this video. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. Wow, I ranted, my bad. I wouldn't call this a rant. I would call this a ramble. At least these past 2 minutes. But okay, let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this. Thanks for watching.